Hello, everyone, and welcome to Snap Take. This is Glazer of Snap Judgments, and we had a ridiculously huge OTA happen yesterday. In response, we're going to go over what I believe the top 10 decks in Marvel Snap are. I've got an awful lot to say about the changes and the cards. We covered the actual changes in yesterday's OTA video, so if you want an in-depth guide to that, please check that out. But just a quick overview, Sam Wilson's shield has become a 0/0. That means it is fundamentally a rock. The writing on the OTA made it seem like Sam was going to go back to a 2/3, but he did not. He's still a 2/2, and now the shield is a 0/0, and the card is much harder to play. We'll talk about a bunch of different decks and what it means for those specific decks for Sam Wilson. Hazmat, in one of the bigger changes, becomes a 3/3. This 3/3 of Hazmat means that it is going to be very awkward in the standard Surge Zabu version of Affliction, and that's going to be a big shakeup to the meta. Outside of Sam's shield, the other two changes to Thanos are Strange Supreme lost 1 power, and the Time Stone lost 1 draw. That losing 1 draw is a bigger deal than the 1 power on Strange Supreme, but it does matter. Strange Supreme has a little bit of his lower rolls hit here, which isn't really a huge concern in Thanos, because in Thanos he's always got stones to eat, so he gets really big, but it does take him out of other decks. While the Time Stone will weaken Thanos for a little bit, we'll talk more about that when we get to the Thanos decks. Spoiler alert, Thanos is still going to be on this tier list, although importantly, one of the Thanos lists has fallen on the tier list, at least for right now. Electro becomes a 3/4 in a change that is not going to factor in very much. He's a card you mostly want to get off the board, and this does take him away from working with Lady Deathstrike. Makari is a card that has changed, and that change is effective in changing how the priority game works for Silver Surfer when combined with the shield, and probably changes the best Surfer deck, but this is a decent hit to Silver Surfer, if nowhere near as big as the hit Affliction or Thanos got. Storm is back to a 3/2. They made it sound like she wouldn't work with Legion and War Machine, but she totally does. She just doesn't work if you go directly Storm into Legion, which is, I mean, fine. That is a very rare play. I think she's very strong, and right now she's all over the meta, an extremely prominent card who will factor in today. Annihilus will not have an immediate home, but hopefully will find one, as he is now up to a 5/8, which is really great stats. Cerebro is arguably the biggest buff. You are going to, if you play ladder right now, see an awful lot of Cerebro decks. Almost everyone is playing Cerebro right now, and with those, Cerebro decks, they are running certain specific cards because +3 power is so much, and that's sort of going to shape the meta and how we look at it. Toxidoxy becomes a 2/3. We'll see if that matters later. They have wrecked Sauron, as he is now a 1/3, but he doesn't affect your hand anymore. He'd be amazing if he still affected your hand, right? But he only affects your deck, which means if you draw the wrong order, he's a dead card. He'll probably work next to Nightmare, but for now he's gone. And Hercules might actually end up being decent. It's hard to know, but Hercules now only works with your cards, not you and your opponent's cards, which is almost certainly a plus since he still retains his limit to once per turn. Again, not going to factor in today. So the things we care about here, as far as the metagame go: Sam Shield, Hazmat, Strain Supreme, Makari, Timestone, Storm, and Cerebro. Let's see what these things are as we kick things off with the S tier. The S tier is almost entirely new this week. Let's talk about it. Let's see what makes the S tier. But first, did you know that this is the end of the season? Tuesday is the new season. Merlin is the new season pass card. If you would like a free Merlin, all you have to do is sub, like, and then leave a specific comment on this video. I'll tell you what comment that is later this video. So all you have to do is watch the video, later leave a comment, and as long as you've subbed and liked, you're entered to win Merlin. This video's comments will have a Merlin given away in them. So if you want that, please make sure to stay tuned. All right, so we're going to kick it off with the best deck in the game, in my opinion. It is Surfer. I'm not sold that this is the right version of Surfer, but this is Smiles' version, and Smiles is a top player and having a lot of success with it. This version was hit less than the Heart of the Cards version in the OTA. But Surfer was the second best deck after Thanos, partially because it has a decent matchup into Thanos, and partially because between Captain Carter, Brood, and combination with Galacta, it puts up crazy amounts of power. This version runs both Galacta and Gwenpool because it has Surge in order to do so. We'll talk about the specific cards that were changed, which are Makari and Sam Wilson, as we go through the card by card. You will notice during the course of this video that the original stat lines and numbers are going to appear on cards. That's notable. It takes the different websites a little bit to update when the OTA happens. Don't worry about it. We've got you covered. All right, so Smiles created this list. He's a former top 10 player, finishes generally speaking around the top 20. This deck needs Galacta and Carter. If you don't have Surge, you can run Zabu. Copycat and Fastos can be Killmonger, Gladiator, Negasonic, or Hope. Sam can be Forge. Sam, I think, could also be Zabu here if you wanted to go extra in on getting a 4 out on 3. Red Guardian can be Rogue. You do really want one of those cards right now. Again, you are going to be seeing Cerebro. Red Guardian is amazing into Cerebro. Rogue is amazing into Cerebro. Having that as an option is worthwhile. Gwenpool can be Kahori. If you do make that change, consider adding Shaw. Kahori is really nice in this list. Gwenpool is generally better. But what Kahori lets you do is it lets you play Carter on turn 3 and Kahori on 4, which is insanely strong. It'll also hit that shield, giving it some power back. Makari can be Hope or Absorbing Man being a big power spike after Brood or with Surfer, and Hope giving you an extra 3 to play, because that's ultimately what Makari is, an extra 3 to play. Heart of the Card Surfer was the best Surfer list for the past month and a half. It has been hit fairly severely. What it was really trying to do was it was priority Surfer. It was using Sam Wilson's shield along with Makari and a lot of high power early plays like Gladiator in order to gain priority. It will not be able to do that as effectively anymore with the shield being 0 and Makari being 3. And as such, this list does need to be rethought. Heart will get to it. I'm sure there will be another version that looks similar to this that is not as worried about priority or does something a little bit different, but we're not there yet. We're closer on this build, so let's talk about it. Sam Wilson is here because it's really good with Captain Carter. He's not especially important anymore, but having the ability to just use Sam Shield to both protect Carter from Red Guardian and to use Sam and potentially Rogue and be able to use Sam Shield to make sure that just any card goes directly behind Carter is worthwhile. Surge is here largely because you're running 2/4s. There's a secondary use for Surge that's also the use for Fastos here as well. So Surge gives you the opportunity to play Galacta and Gwenpool on turn 3, which are both snap conditions. The other thing that Surge does, as long as it doesn't hit Surfer, and Surge does not work with Makari, it's worth noting that that was apparently a bug, and it's very sad that it doesn't work. That royally sucks. But what Surge does is, or Fastos can do, is they let you play 2/3s on turn 5, and that is one of the ways that this deck chooses to get ahead and put extra power on the board. Your power in this deck, outside of your buffs, come from Surfer, Galactic, and Gwenpool. Those are your buff cards. Their goal is to hit the power cards, and the power cards are Brood and Carter. Brood and Carter multiply each buff they get by 3, which is obviously humongous. Juggernaut lets you win a lane on the cheap and disrupt your opponents. Red Guardian is a absolute priority card right now because Red Guardian is how you handle being able to stop opposing Cerebro, and there's also a lot of opposing Iron Man and ongoing stuff out there. Red Guardian's in a very, very strong place once more. He was a little weaker into Thanos, and he's back to being crazy strong right now. Makari is, even though she's a 3/3, sort of necessary here. You don't have a million plays you'd like to make on turn 3, and Makari being able to play herself gives you the ability to not really overstress that situation where you do miss a 3-on-3. Like perhaps you go Surge into Carter and you're a little sad. Surge into Captain America because you're a little sad. The only 3s you have are like Surfer and Brood, and you really don't want to play them. Makari sort of takes care of that problem for you. That's why she's so important here. Fastos gives you the ability to 3 and 2 on 5, which is, again, you want to play your 3s as late as possible. Copycat, in a very good stuff meta, offers you a very, very powerful piece. It could be plenty of other cards, from Mobius to Luke Cage to anything else, but I do think Copycat's in a very good place as people are experimenting with a lot of good cards and good card soup. And then, of course, Galactic and Gwenpool are your big buff cards. Surfer's power is that it can be built for any metagame. You can, because so many tech cards are 3s, and because there's so much power in the Brood and Carter combo, you can build Surfer for fundamentally any metagame. And so whether this is the exact right 12 or not, I have no doubt that Surfer will show up around the top of this metagame. Right now, I think that this is a very powerful way to go because I do think this is going to solve a lot of the Storm War Machine stuff that's around. You just drop a Brood in the lane there, and or you can add like a magic or whatever else you want in order to stop the Storm lane, or you can stop a lot of the Cerebro stuff, and that's a lot of what's out there as people are testing new stuff. Turn 1, you pass. Turn 2, Surge over Sam. Turn 3, if you can drop a 4, that's a snap. Just let's get this out of the way at the start. If you see a name written in white or something written in white, that means a very often snap condition. Green means conditional snap condition. So turn 3 is a 4. If you can get Galactor when pull out on 4, you usually want to snap. Over Fastos, over Copycat. Turn 4, Galacta is better than Gwenpool, is better than 3. If you're going to play Gwenpool on turn 4, you can wait to see what it hits before you snap. If it hits what you wanted, then you snap. Turn 5 is 3+3, ideally, thanks to Surge and Fastos. Brood, Carter, Juggernaut for Clog, Red Guardian for a key target. Those are the 3s you're looking at playing here. Turn 6, a 3 from last turn, and Surfer. At that point, you usually win the game. This deck puts out a lot of power, and it has just enough disruption and control to really make things difficult for opponents. Super strong list, and as people are trying to figure out what they're doing and trying to figure out what to play, this should just go over the top of most decks. Before we go any further, if you're enjoying this video, please hit that sub button, like, and comment. Not only is it a way to get the season pass for free, it's also a way to really help support the channel, where we give you 7 days a week of Marvel Snap videos. Almost every week we do at least 8 videos. If you want more Marvel Snap content than anyone else will give you, please hit that sub, leave a like, and a comment. Next up, we've got Thanos Ongoing. Thanos Ongoing was hit. The Time Stone hit matters here. The Sam Wilson hit matters here. They just matter less for this version than the other. I chose to go with Eggy's version. I'm not sure if Kyra is better than Cosmo right now. I'm not seeing a lot of Killmonger, but I'm not ready to assume that Killmonger is gone. So Kyra is still in this version, but that could easily be Cosmo right now, or Armor, as the case may be, to protect something. This list remains incredibly strong right now. We'll talk about why as we go through. You can find Eggy at twitch.tv/121Eggy. This is the Thanos Ongoing that finished highest in the most recent Golden Gauntlet tournament. So this is a top 8 deck in that tournament. Eggy played phenomenally. This deck needs Thanos, Goliath, Sam Wilson, and Mockingbird. Those 4 cards are absolutely non-negotiable for the ongoing version of the list. We'll talk about Sam going forward soon. Wiccan can be Luna, Fastos, or Hope. You do want that extra energy, and you're fairly likely to get it, but Luna, Fastos, and Hope can also give you extra energy, even if they're not quite as good as Wiccan. Wiccan's become just that much less reliable thanks to the Time Stone change. Kyra can be Armor, Ant-Man. Kyra should actually be Cosmo, the more I think about it. If you're interested in an alternate version, one that puts up more points, this is Honifer's old version from a month ago that puts up plenty of points and is still perfectly fine. Again, the same 2 cards have changed in this version, so this version should still be successful. Although this version puts up way more points thanks to Carter and Steve. And speed. All right, so Goliath is big stats. Goliath and Dazzler are big scaling stats. Sam is only a 2/6 here. However, Sam's usefulness is increased by 2 reasons. First, he represents 2 cards that Blue Marvel will hit. Next, it's 2 cards that Spectrum will buff. Next, his shield is an extra buff for Goliath. For those reasons, Sam is still absolutely pivotal to this deck, and he's still going to go in this version. I'm less convinced he wants to be in the other versions of Thanos, but for this version, he is an absolute must-have. So he buffs Goliath, which is great, right? And he can also help you fill a lane, which will buff Dazzler. Both Goliath and Dazzler play for, generally speaking, at least 2/6 to 2/8. Sometimes Goliath gets even bigger than that, and that's a lot of power. 2/6 isn't as amazing as the top end for Sam, but remember, he can still be buffed multiple ways. Oh, this does run Cosmo. Why in my head did this not run Cosmo? Whatever. Cosmo, Kyra, Mobius are all perfectly fine as 3-drops. They're your control package in this list. Kyra says this deck cares a lot about its 1-drops. 3 of those 1-drops are ongoings for Goliath. They fill the board for Dazzler. They're what you're buffing with Spectrum Blue Marvel. So thus, Kyra protects you from Killmonger, while also just being a decent extra way to protect Thanos. Not the best card in the deck, and not necessarily like a requirement, but still worth having. Ant-Man is fine here. Like, if you're not seeing the Killmonger, then please feel free to run Ant-Man. Feel free to run a Speed, whatever you want in that spot. Captain America. Mobius is very good into the meta. There's just enough cost reduction. All the Cerebro decks are running Ravonna. You're just going to see a lot of stuff that Mobius stops. Surge is still a prominent card, so on. And of course, Cosmo is hilarious right now. People are going to be trying to do this Storm shenanigans, and if you just drop Cosmo in that lane, you'll be totally freaking fine. Also, if they drop War Machine, Super Skrull answers that, but there's also a lot of Null Iron Man stuff around. There's a lot of Cerebro around. There's a lot of stuff for Super Skrull to get. This remains one of the best meta calls right now. After this big ongoing push that started when Goliath and Captain Carter came out, Super Skrull has basically since been a very prominent and powerful card. Wiccan gives you extra energy to do everything. Again, not as consistent without Time Stone, but not so much less consistent that you should be super concerned. Blue Marvel plays as like a 5/14. He can buff the other 11 spots on the board. That's obviously huge stats. Even if you miss 2, a 5/12 is a card you very much want to play. Spectrum is even bigger than that. Playing as, like, let's just say you get 5 ongoings out. That is a 6/17. We're getting amazing stats from Spectrum. She is bigger than Doom in Doomless. Genuinely great. Mockingbird is basically a free 9 in this list. Free 9s are amazing. And then Thanos gives you access to the stones, which draw and are ongoing. And he's just often a 5 or 6/12 that cannot be destroyed, especially cannot be destroyed in two different ways. So that's an extremely useful tool to have in your box. I cannot imagine, if I had to pick one deck, like gun to my head, that I think would do the best on ladder right now, I think it would be this one, as people are experimenting with things, and this one just puts up crazy, crazy points. Turn 1 stone draw over Ant-Man. And if you, sorry, there's no Ant. Stone draw over other ones that don't draw. Turn 2 Sam over Goliath over draw. And you want to get Sam out early because Sam is going to start scaling immediately. Mobius or early plays, Kyra or Cosmo are fine. From here on, Mockingbird whenever you can. Turn 4 Wiccan over a combo of earlier plays. Turn 5 Blue Marvel over Thanos. If you have Wiccan, you can just go off and play a ton of stuff. And then turn 6, you have a bunch of choices. You can go Spectrum, or you can go Blue Marvel Mockingbird stuff, or you can do some combo of cheaper stuff. You can drop like Goliath and Dazzler and just get like extra 8, 10, 10 power cards all over the place. Great list. Genuinely my pick for probably the best list, especially as like you notice in the previous list, Surfer's not going to be running as much Killmonger because they're not going to see as much Thanos, right? There's just not going to be as much that actually stops this right now. We're going to talk about Clog later, but Clog is bad for this. I expect less Clog. I think that this list is going to be a real problem for an awful lot of decks going forward, and I urge you to give it a try. Next up, we've got Roram Plays and Cougar's Affliction list. That's right, it's the Affliction list that was nerfed and had sort of disappeared in favor of the other one. Roram and Cougar's list is back. It is another S tier list. Right now, I cannot imagine with one exception, Cerebro 2 is a problem, right? But outside of Cerebro 2, I think that this is just a wonderful, wonderful meta call. This was made, different portions of this were made by Cougar, who 2 O's, 3 R's, who streams all the time, and Roram Plays. Check them both out on Twitch, two of my favorite people. This deck needs both Ajax and Haiva. Grandmaster can be Surge, Rocket, and Groot. You do want to consider a move card there. Red Guardian can be Rogue. Sable can be Hydra Bob or Nightcrawler. Diamondback can be Cassandra Nova. Luffy can be Man-Thing. Sam can be Jeff, Nightcrawler, or Silk. This list is just kind of expensive. I'm really sorry. Let's talk about what it does, though. So Zabu. Oh no, because I have to talk. This is the KM Best Affliction version. So the problem with this list is Hazmat now costs 3. What you wanted to do on the last turn of the game was basically play Man-Thing, Luffy, or Malekith with Hazmat. You don't have the option to do that unless you get lucky with Zabu or Surge now. That really does mess up this list in a very real way. Like if you don't get Zabu or Surge, this list kind of falls apart now. I'm not sure if this list is gone, but for the time being, I'm going to push it to the back burner. This was the second or third best deck in Marvel Snap after, well, I guess third or fourth because there were 2 Thanos lists ahead of it, but I think it has been fairly well neutered. Luke Cage's presence pushed the deck we are going to talk about out of the meta. This is another version. I'm not sure what's better, the version we're going to talk about, or the Toxic Mover. The reason I prefer the other one right now is if I'm going to play Hazmat on turn 5, which is the goal of this deck, right? That 3-cost Hazmat on turn 5 doesn't have a 2-drop. I really want to play with it in this version, whereas it does in the other version. That's the entire difference here. If I could figure out how to get Grandmaster in, perhaps I cut Hydra Stomper for Grandmaster or Silk for Grandmaster, and we can go that way. I don't know. We're getting close to something here, but it's not quite where I want to be. Okay. This is the version that I think is best right now, and let's talk about why. So Silver Sable is just a nice card. It's a 1/2 that plays as a 1/4. If the opponent plays the -2, you can use it a second time with Grandmaster in a pinch. Both of those things are very, very useful. Hazmat is a 3, so we're going to talk about her later. Sam Wilson is not great here. You're not in love with running Sam Wilson. Sam Wilson is sticks in this deck for one simple reason. He's a 2/6 and you're fine running a 2/6, but what you really want is an on-demand move on turn 5 so that you can play Miles as a 1/6 on the last turn of the game. Sam is the easiest way in Marvel Snap to do that. Our backup way to get that play in this deck right now is Grandmaster. Grandmaster should work fairly similarly. Grandmaster can hit anything from Hazmat to Sable to Luffy to Red Guardian on that last turn. On turn 5, and thus give you that move in order to make Miles cheaper, and that is the main goal of this card. If we don't see Sam Wilson on 2, we want another Affliction card, and Scorpion is here to support us. Scorpion's not a great play on turn 5, but it's also not a bad play on turn 5. It's only going to hit 1 or 2 cards at that point, but hey, that's still a 2/5. You're not super sad. Diamondback plays as a 3/11. We love 3/11s. It's also the best on curve 3. Red Guardian is here because there's still a little bit of Luke. Cerebro 2 is a deck. Sometimes decks like Cerebro 4 are running Luke Cage, and guess what? If everything is a 4 but Luke, Red Guardian does a really good job at beating that. Plus, all the Affliction stuff, the Hazmats, the Lofties, and so on, do an amazing job at just beating a Cerebro deck. You can snap them almost immediately and just win those matchups. Lofty is 4 big. It's one of the best Grandmaster targets in the game, where it can fundamentally work as a Hazmat, and you don't have to play Hazmat when you have Grandmaster. It's an incredibly powerful card. 1/6s are great. High Evolutionary is the cost of getting Abomination. The goal for this deck is on the last turn of the game to play a free Abomination. As long as you've Hazmatted on turn 5 and the opponent had at least 5 cards out, very likely, Abomination is free. If you moved a card as well, Miles Morales is 1. So now you have 115 in power between Miles and Abomination. At that point, Ajax, because you're not running Luke Cage, ends up being like a 15 to 20 power card, and then you are able to win the game by playing those at the end. So if Thanos is going to be less played, and I don't think Thanos is much worse, but I think Thanos is going to be less played. And if Thanos is going to be significantly less played, then what matters for us right now, as we worry about the meta, is that this deck doesn't have a hard counter. And if this deck isn't being countered, it's one of the very best decks in Marvel Snap. What you want to do on turn 1 is play Silver Sable right now. Turn 2, Sam or Scorpion. Turn 3, Diamondback or a 2-drop, Rocket Groot if you have a really good target. Turn 4, Lofty or earlier plays. Turn 5, you want to move a card and play Hazmat. Grandmaster is really good for double Hazmat, Lofty or Sable, or even an extra Scorpion, as the case may be. Any of these plays, if you can get that going with Hazmat, is a snap condition. If you can get it going with Hazmat or Lofty, is a snap condition, because then you go Ajax, Abomination, Miles, and you should be able to win the game fairly straightforwardly in a very, very powerful manner. Play this list, you will very, very much enjoy it. I all but guarantee. All right, so this is one of the best lists in Marvel Snap. Again, I don't know how else to be like clearer about that. I think that this one is an absolute monster. Like, I think that for the next couple days, at the very least, until people realize that they have to run something to counter it, this has a chance to be the highest win in cube rate deck right now. That's the end of the S tier. We are on to the A tier. And we're going to kick it off with Lambie's version of Thanos. Perhaps you prefer the control version. I think right now I'd rather go with the points than the control, although Enchantress is an extraordinarily, what's the word I'm looking for? Tempting card in this current meta. I think that this version of Thanos is still very, very strong. Lambie ran this version as a way to sort of counter the meta. And it's got one of the highest win rates in Marvel Snap right now. I think without Thanos, we can probably cut Cassandra Nova and get a little bit of extra control in here. But Rocket Groot seems like an absolutely busted, incredible card against all the Cerebro that's everywhere. And it's also like between Rocket Groot and Strange Supreme, we also have a lot of power into, and of course the Reality Stone, we have a lot of power into the Storm that's out there. I think that this list is kind of a monster. But I expect it to be played a lot less. I think this is actually going to be played more than the ongoing list, but I think the ongoing list with no counters is just better. You can find Lambie at twitch.tv/LambieSeriesTV. This deck needs Thanos, Strange, and Wiccan. Mockingbird can be Sasquatch. Red Guardian can be Rogue or Juggernaut. From there, we go with Surge, and Sam Wilson can be Iron Patriot, Shadow King, or Cable. Galactan Alliath can be Shangra Enchantress, and Rocket Groot can be Copycat or Cosmo. So let's talk about, this is the original version. This is probably still the most consistent version, the one I would expect to see if I were playing on ladder, the one that tries to counter everything. That deck having a rock in it really hurts. I'm not sure that Sam really wants to be here in this version. Strange Supreme and Iron Patriot sort of get in each other's way once in a while. And then the other real problem with this list, for me personally, right now, is losing that extra draw really does hurt this list more than the other one, I think. Not being able to hit that Wiccan, not being able to draw into your control cards is a bigger problem. So for now, Sam stays here. I think Sam and Cassandra are probably the most likely cards to go at this exact moment. But Sam gives you a thing for Strange Supreme to eat right away, and a 2/6 is just nice to have. It also can help protect your key cards from Red Guardian, who's a very prominent card right now. Strange Supreme is a 2/1, not a 2/2. But in Thanos, not in other decks, but in Thanos, he gains so much power because there's still enough stones that he almost always has something to eat, plus Sam Shield. Surge is extra important here because now if we have less draw, Wiccan's a little less reliable. So if Wiccan's going to be a little less reliable, Surge becomes a little more reliable. Being able to have that extra card to play does seem very powerful and useful. Cassandra Nova is a 3/6. It is very good into Cerebro and just okay otherwise, but if you happen to run into other Thanos, it's a mirror breaker. Rocket Groot is another great Cerebro killer right now, while also being very good into the storm that's around and a very disruptive card. Mobius is powerful in turning off opposing stuff. Again, Cosmo can be any of these cards should you find it more useful into the storms that are out there. Red Guardian is here, Cerebro is everywhere, and like you're just hitting so many important targets with Red Guardian right now. It's incredible, especially if Sam becomes less played. Galactus gives us more power than most decks. We've already got the like control from our Red Guardian from our Alliance, and now we've got the extra power from Galacta. Wiccan gives us the energy to play all of our extra stuff. Alliance turns off opponents. Mockingbird is cheap 9, and Thanos is Thanos. So this is the deck that still may set. This doesn't right now set the meta, but it's worth remembering that this deck exists because, well, okay, so in 8 days from today, there's going to be Golden Gauntlet 2's tournament, right? We'll talk more about that later. But in 8 days from today, Golden Gauntlet 2 is going to come, and people are going to try this deck again. And if 3 or 4 of this deck make top 8, it's going to go right back to being absolutely everywhere. And then we're going to have another 2 weeks without an OTA where this is going to be the best deck. So enjoy the week. Like in a week, next Friday, I don't think this is going to be this low on the tier list after we've had more time. But while people are experimenting with other things, this takes a little bump down. Turn 1, draw. Turn 2, Strange over Surge over draw. Turn 3, Mobius, Cass, or Rock and Groot, depending on what's the situation. Or it's better than a 2/1. Mobius if it's going to basically win you the game. Cass regularly. Rock and Groot with Prio is really strong if you know where they have to play. You can also feel free to play a 2/1 here. Turn 4, Wiccan. If you get Wiccan going, please snap over Galacta over earlier plays. Turn 5, Thanos or Red Guardian Mobius Plus. Then turn 6, Alliance or Thanos. I don't know. I think this list is still probably fine. I think Thanos is going to need one more nerf before he gets back to where we want it. But while people are experimenting, this one goes down a tier. Hey, we have on our Discord the Snap Judgments League, King of the Hill tournaments regularly. If you like Marvel Snap tournaments, please do come check it out. I think you'll have a blast. Next up, we've got Chamo. Chamo's good stuff list remains one of the best lists in the game. I almost put this in S tier. I'm not sure this still has enough power because I think people are going to be doing a lot of extra power stuff here, and this did take a big hit in the Sam loss. This list is already like you really want to see Sam or Silk. If we don't see Sam, I don't know anymore, right? Like I'm a little more concerned about this. So I'm not 1,000% sure, and I think Shang-Chi is more important or Enchantress is more important. One of the two is going to be needed. We might have to find room for a Guardian. I don't know. This list has been so good that I'm not worried about it, though. You can find Chamo at twitch.tv/Chamo92. Derek had a very similar version to this prior to the Hydra Stomper release. And we also have seen Nina is Noob come up with another version of this. So there's lots of versions of this. Oh my God, I don't think I said this. The graphic at the beginning, huge props to Nina is Noob. I grabbed it from her. She did an amazing job, or whoever she has done. I believe it's her, but I don't actually know. She did an amazing job with that graphic, and full credit to Nina is Noob, who you should 1,000% be following. She's amazing. So this deck needs Batrock, Sam, Stomper, and Galacta. Surge can be Zabu. Gwenpool can be Captain Marvel. Red Guardian can be Rogue. Is there Red Guardian here? There's no Red Guardian here. Red Guardian's here in my heart. Whatchamacallit? Hydra Stomper can be. No, you need Stomper. I guess there's no Red Guardian. There's not really room. Wreck and Groot can be Rogue. Mobius, Luke, Elsa, or Juggernaut. Here's a Shuri Enjoyer version. It's not the same deck, but it's close enough. This one's more control-y, doesn't put up quite as much power, and uses the Thena package for power instead of the move package. We also have the Riva Agamotto. This is a descendant of the Season Pass lore list, so is the both decks are descendants of the old Season Pass lore list when Agamotto was new and Derek created that list. So just worth taking a look at this. I really love this list. I think it's a blast. And the Chamo good stuff. All right, Kitty Pryde is here for 2 reasons. One, it's a really great way to move Silk consistently. It can help you prevent Clog while moving Silk. That's obviously very useful. It's also a very good card to hit with Galacta because on turn 5 in particular, if you go turn 4 Gwenpool, sometimes turn 5 will be Galacta and a 1-drop. Getting that kitty out is very good, especially as like your Silk's going to move around and get extra power. Batrock is like a 2/8 to 2/12. Sorry, 1/8 to 1/12. That's amazing power, and thus he is in the deck. Sam Wilson's only a 2/6, but he and Silk are your only repeatable moves in the game. Those repeatable moves power up your Kraven, power up Sam, power up Hydra Stomper, power up Batrock, so they are pivotal to the list. Surge gives you extra energy and extra power, making you a little harder to predict and giving you extra ways to compete in the game, put up significantly more power. Craven is often the biggest card in the list, thanks to Silk and Sam, and thus is huge here and really great. And Batrock as well. Silk is one of, again, the two consistent movers in the game. I guess we can at least start to consider Zorn as a big mover, but we'll talk more about Zorn relatively soon. Hydra Stomper is not quite as big as Craven usually, but usually pretty damn big. Can usually play as like a 310, 311, which is great stats, especially at the end of the game as a surprise. Rock and Groot helps you control where your opponent plays, which is a very solid thing to have with Silk, while also helping to prevent Clog by being a move card. Power must be controlled. Galactic and Gwenpool are how you get your power, especially if you don't get all of your early stuff. Sometimes your early stuff doesn't come out in the right order, and Galactic and Gwenpool are great at making that happen. And then Miles is a 1/6. An end turn play of something like Hydra Stomper with Miles and Kitty is reasonably likely in this deck, at which point you probably have a 1/5/6/7/8 Kitty, a 1/6 Miles, and then like a 3/12 Hydra Stomper for just a ton of power. Turn 1 Batrock over Kitty, turn 2 Sam over Surge over Silk. Turn 3 if Sam or Silk, Craven. If not, Rocket and Groot. Batrock and Silk is very good. Turn 4 Galactor or Gwenpool. Turn 5 is either Stomper and a 2 or Galactic and Kitty. Turn 6 Shang Plus or just a bunch of power cards. This one's really, really good. I think that this is going to be a list that gets kind of slept on, but I do think it's got a lot of power in it right this minute. One definitely I strongly urge you to consider playing as one of the top decks. Hey, if you're interested in checking out a stream, check out twitch.tv/pulseglazer. I will not actually be live today. I'm usually live right after work. My mother usually gets my son on Fridays after work, but we're going to actually, my wife is going to a concert, and my mother has dinner planned, so I'm going to spend the night hanging out with my son. We're going to watch a whole bunch of TV and get a bunch of terrible food and have a great time. But I will be streaming all day on Saturday, I believe. So, oh yeah, I'll definitely be streaming all day on Saturday. So swing by Saturday to watch a stream at twitch.tv/pulseglazer. Our season pass question, if you'd like to enter to win the season pass, is what is the best deck I missed I didn't talk about? And just a reminder, I have 5 more honorable mention decks at the very end of the video. The next A tier deck here is a bounce move. We've talked about this deck so much. It was third or fourth, tied for third, whatever. In the Creator Gauntlet, it is one of the best decks in the game. If you are good with this list and want to climb, I strongly suggest you play it right now while people are experimenting. This deck thinks stuff like Cerebro is a very cute list and just goes right over the top of that. It can struggle with the storm stuff. It's possible, but if they get Storm Legion, you're annoyed, right? But if they're trying to win on just a storm lane, all you got to do is punch a card over with Iron Fist or throw a card over with Madam Web, and you're good to go. This is if you are good with this list, it's like the top of S tier, but very few people are good with it. It's the hardest list to play in the game. The creator of this list is the Great Sizer, twitch.tv/Sizer2654, a great friend and one of the best players in the game. This deck needs Aranya and Madam Web. Sage can be Hulkbuster or Topaz. Frigga or Aranya can be Topaz as well. All right, bounce move again. So Aranya, Ghost Spider, Iron Fist. I've said this so many times that I'm like, I want this deck to get nerfed just so it goes away. Like I haven't changed this deck or this slide since Toxin was a 2/1 friends. Like the deck does not change. It added Sage and then it was like, yep, perfect, thanks, bye, we're done. So Aranya, Ghost Spider, Iron Fist, Madam Web, Doctor Strange are your move cards. Your goal is to move and gain a bunch of power with the cards Human Torch, Vulture, and Dagger. You want to move 2 of them in order to make them bigger. If you don't see 2 of them, or if you get one big and can, Frigga copying it gives you a lot of extra power. You don't want priority because priority opens you up to cards like Shang-Chi and Shadow King, and Killmonger in terms of Human Torch. So you have Toxin and Beast to help you throw priority. A lot of this game in this deck is going to be learning to throw priority. Sage gives you an extra big thing to play at the end that you don't have to worry about moving, and is a really good Frigga copy and bounce target as well. So turn 1, Aranya. Turn 2, Madam Web. Snap condition if you don't think they have a Guardian over second move and Torch, over Fist for Vulture. Turn 3, Vulture Punch with Fist, or you can just drop it on Madam Web. Frigga is fine if you did the double move on Torch. The double move on Torch, by the way, is Aranya on 1, and then Iron Fist and Torch on 2. You play Iron Fist, then you trigger Aranya, and you end up with like a 10 power Torch, and you're perfectly good to go. From there, we're going to go with Sage, Frigga, or Bounce on turn 3. Turn 5 is the same as 4. If you think your opponent has no tech, you can bounce your Enablers, your Ghost Spiders, your Iron Fist, and not have to worry about bouncing your big old move cards, just leave them in place to win. If not, you bounce to throw prio and win. Turn 6, replay movers. And the big tip here is remember that if you have like a 18 power human torch, you don't always need to move that again. Your moves might be better used on a dagger to make that big enough to win a lane. Because winning with an 18 power torch or a 36 power torch doesn't matter as long as you've won. Dagger getting that extra power might win the game. I don't know. I'm very sick of this list, but it is the best. So if you can learn it, if you can dedicate the hundreds of games it takes to play it, great players struggle with this list. If you can, and it's like, oh my God, is it hard to stream? But if you can play it, if you can run with it, this will be the best, especially right now as people experiment. Hey, we have a Patreon. I only announce this once a week, but at any detail. But we have a Patreon at patreon.com/snapjudgments. If you're interested, please, please, please check it out. Our $2 tier comes with entry into all of our tournaments. Our $5 tier gets you early access to all of our videos, and our $10 tier gets you a weekly exclusive video. If that sounds good to you, please do check out the Patreon. It would mean the world for any bit of extra support. Next up, we've got Zorn Scream. This is the highest win rate Scream list in the game right now, and I think that's fairly wild. This is like the standard Scream list. It just says, screw it, we're just going all in on power. We're going to run Zorn and Silk to pump up that Hydra Stomper, and between those cards, Craven and Scream, we've got so many scalers and so much disruption just through the sheer Cannonball and Arrow, we should be able to win. Arrow, I'm not 1,000% sure, shouldn't just be Stegron here, but the Arrow version has a higher win rate. Smiles, created the original version of this list, so we're just going to keep crediting him. I'm not sure who created this exact version. It might be Den. We can credit Den for that, but Den also pulls things from Marvel Snap Zone's data, so I can't guarantee. This deck needs Scream, Sam, and Cannonball. Batrock can be Hydra Bob. Stomper can be Red Guard. Oh, Batrock can also be Kingpin. Stomper can be Red Guardian, but at that point you're going to want to cut Silk and Zorn. You're running Silk and Zorn for the Stomper package. Zorn can be Juggernaut or Stegron. If you are still running into Thanos, I don't think you will be right now, but if you're still running into Thanos, this is the Thanos killing version of Scream. Please feel free to play it from our friend Ika. The version that doesn't run Zorn, should you not get Zorn, is this one from Salty, the original Salty version. When Batrock came out, he managed to put this version together. It is the most consistent version most of the time. Right now, outperforming it, however, is just pure stats. We're in a very pure stats meta with a couple of big caveats. Because you're like, then where's negative? Why is it negative high if this is a pure stats meta? We'll get there. Just chill. So, Scream should be really good right now. This should be amazing right now if there's not a lot of Thanos everywhere. What this deck is really good at is two things. One, you've got the Batrock, Sam, Craven package to just put points out. You can also further amplify those extra points with Zorn and Silk. Good. All of those cards in combination give you an absolutely huge Hydra Stomper, an absolutely huge Craven. That's game winning. You are moving opponents' cards with Spider-Man, Polaris, Arrow, and Cannonball, which all pumps up your Scream, who's still one of the best and the only 4 scalers in the game. Negative for the opponent, +2 for you. Less Luke means better Scream as well. All of these movers further give you a 1/6 Miles Morales. We love having 1/6s, but we even have a 1/12 in this. Those two things in concert are great. Zorn, by the way, is just an extra way to help out Scream once in a while. It doesn't always work, but it is pretty good, especially if you can predict what your opponent's going to play around turn 4. From there, we go to the mini Clog package. So Spider-Man, Polaris, and Arrow can fundamentally operate as a mini Clog package for your opponent, which is incredibly strong, especially as it pumps up your other cards like Scream, Craven, and Hydra Stomper as you are clogging the opponent. And then finally, should you be able to clog the opponent, or should you be able to build up a huge advantage in one lane, Cannonball becomes an auto win, and then the game is over. So turn 1 Batrock, turn 2 Scream equals Sam over Craven, Silk, which is equal to Zorn, is better than a 1. Turn 3, if Scream Polaris, if Sam Craven, Stomper or a 2 are fine. Turn 4, we want 2/2 or 3/1. This is a decent time to go like Zorn and Silk. This is a decent time to drop Scream and Spider-Man. If we did some of that stuff earlier, now we can go Polaris and Batrock just fine. Turn 5 is Arrow or Cannonball. Arrow if you can get the Clog, Cannonball if you can get the Clog. Generally speaking, you're only going to do these plays if you don't have the Stomper thing. If Stomper is stupidly huge, you can play that with a 2 on turn 5, just fine. Then turn 6, Cannonball or Arrow, and Miles. And then you win I don't know. This list, it would not shock me if it ends up back in the S tier. I'm going to need to see a little bit more first. But like if Cerebro's around, this should rock that. This should rock most things. It's just really, really frustrating and annoying to play against, and thus should be considered a meta favorite right now. I don't know if you know this, but I write an article every single weekday on Marvel Snap Zone. If you're interested, please do go check out Marvel Snap Zone. They are versions of these videos. In fact, if you're interested in the written word, go check it out. Marvel Snap Zone, the home of the best written content in the game. Next up, we've got the Small Good Havoc. So we're going to have to talk about this deck a lot in a week, but for the time being, just know that this is one of the best decks and no one really talks about it. This one puts up a ton of stats and has an answer for almost everything. Oh, there's people are still running Affliction. We've got Luke. Oh my God, look at maybe we want Red Guardian right now. Actually, Luke might end up being Red Guardian right now, so we can answer Cerebro. Depends what you're going to see more of, right? But Cosmo to stop any of your extra nonsense that opponents are trying to do. A ton of points, a ton of control. This deck is brilliant. This is the Burrs version. This needs Nico, Athena, and Agent Venom. Sage can be Juggernaut or Cassandra Nova. Surge can be Sam or US Agent. And once more, I would strongly consider Red Guardian if you own it for Luke or Cosmo, depending on, again, your meta. So the Hood, you almost never want to play as a 1/3 unless it's turn 5 and you desperately, and you know what your Thor lane is going to be. You want to play Hood after a Bast or Agent Venom hits it, or if you can turn into a Demon or use it to draw 2 from Nico. Bast is meant to be a huge buff for Hood, but is also absolutely incredible on Cassandra Nova and Sage. Good on Athena, but can put it in danger. Amazing on Havoc. Everything else is fine. The only thing it has a negative effect on is Agent Venom. Kitty Pryde is, for the time being, the best way to trigger Athena in the game, and thus it is in the list. Nice and simple. From there, we go to Nico Minoru. Nico Minoru has the ability to turn Bast and Hood into actual good cards, but the other use for Nico here is you want to copy a Cassandra or Sage because they will keep their buff if you copy them, which is incredibly useful. Havoc represents somewhere between 8 and 16 power toward the end of the game. Absolutely incredible. Can be played on turn 4 or turn 5. You'll have to learn which. Athena represents something like 10 power, coming from a 2-drop, again, huge. Surge lets you very often play 2/3s at the end of the game and just gives you a lot more consistency in the list. Doesn't always work amazing with Athena, but is still very good. Agent Venom having 5 power is actually shockingly big for this list, while also being a buff for basically every card in the deck. Well, no, for every card in the deck except Cosmo. Cassandra Nova is a 3 big. If you start Cassandra Nova 3 power, she starts as like a 3/8, 3/9. And what's even better than that is that when the opponents play negative cards, she can end up playing for like a 3/13. Sage is your big closer. She's the last turn play that gets you all the points. Luke protects you from Affliction if you're still seeing Affliction. If you're not, again, feel free to cut it. And Cosmo protects you from other nonsense. The Storm list, for example, just falls apart to a Cosmo. Next week, I think this list is going to go to S tier because Merlin is coming out. Merlin is a 2/3 that creates spells that are 1s, and that means that I basically every turn get a card that can trigger Athena, and I'm all about that life. I think that's going to be absolutely wildly strong in this list, and like it also gives you an extra way to get rid of Demon. Like I think that that's going to be crazy strong. I think this becomes an S tier deck next week. Turn 1 Kitty and Bast if you are hitting at least 2 good targets. Ideally, you're trying to hold it for Hood, but if you have other ways to handle Hood, you'll be fine. Agent Venom over Surge over 1s over Athena on turn 2. Turn 3, Athena +1 or Cass. If you played Athena +1 on turn 3, now you're going to play Cass +1. You can also 2/2, and you're just going to have to practice on when to Havoc on 4. Turn 5, Sage or Cosmo, or and Havoc or a 1-drop. If you played Havoc on 4, you're going to have to play a 1-drop here. But remember that if you played Surge, that's really helpful. And then turn 6 is the same thing as 5. Win the damn game. This list is a beast. Genuinely a beast. I don't know how long it's going to take for this to fall out of the top 10 again, but I think it's going to get better and better as more cards come out. I'm very excited for this list to continue to grow. We're on to the B tier now. The B tier is not just the decks you're going to see here. The B tier is the decks you're going to see here and the honorable mention. There's plenty of decks in B tier. B tier is just basically every good deck in Marvel Snap. They're a step below the S and obviously the A tier. That's why they're the B tier. Then there's often a conglomeration. I show the ones that I show specifically for a reason. First, we're going to talk about the Storm list. I am seeing so much. Storm is now a 3/2, right? I am seeing so much Storm Legion right now. Oh man, this deck should 1000% be running War Machine and is not. Excuse me. War Machine is both a requirement and should be in this list. Cut Nightcrawler or Fenris Wolf, please. Good. This should be running War Machine because otherwise the combo doesn't work. I just threw this together as I was trying to figure out what to do, and I didn't accurately think things through as far as where that goes. But this deck should be going Storm, War Machine, Legion, and it should be incredibly, incredibly strong right now. A lot of people are experimenting with this, and a lot of people are experimenting with Cerebro right now because those are the cards that were really buffed that put new stuff into the meta. Now, because so many people are experimenting with this, because Cerebro runs location control, because Thanos still has the Reality Stone, because Magic is still a card, the Storm combo is not the most reliable thing. It's possible that the right version of this goes up to A or even S tier, but I don't think I'm there yet. This is a Derek list. We need War Machine and Legion, despite me not putting War Machine in like a fool. Alioth can be Infinite. Ms. Marvel can be Doom. Jeff can be Zorn or Madam Web. Fenris can be Iron Patriot or Shadow King. Gladiator is your biggest three, and Hydra Bob can be Makari or Wasp. So Nightcrawler is slash was because it should definitely right now and that's your replacement for Jeff Nightcrawler. It should definitely be War Machine. Nightcrawler's goal here is to help you trigger Ms. Marvel and be able to move around Hydra Bob. If you're only running one, Hydra Bob is fine. It's just a 1/4 that helps you trigger Ms. Marvel. Daredevil lets you know if you can get your combo off on turn 5, while also giving you this really useful Quake information that can help you as well. It lets you know if you can get a Negasonic as well without the opponent knowing. It's an amazingly powerful snap card. It lets you literally snap. Fenris Wolf, if you're running Negasonic and Gladiator, you just might as well. Negasonic, especially with Daredevil, can kill a key card. A Gladiator can kill a key card. You get it back. It's yours now. Awesome. Jeff can be played after you Legion a Storm. That's really useful. Um, That's obviously it's actually literally impossible to do without War Machine now. So I guess you don't super need Jeff, but Jeff is still really good at making at A, it can just jump into the Storm lane if you don't Legion or War Machine, but B, it's really good at triggering that Ms. Marvel. Quake gives you an extra way to win a Storm lane. Fundamentally, what you want to do is you want to play Storm, and then when your opponent goes to play in that Storm lane, you move Flooded to a different lane that you think that you have another card that you've won, and then you should be able to win pretty well there, like your Daredevil lane, that or a lane that has Fenris Wolf, or if you have Jeff in hand, for example, and then that becomes the Flooded lane, and you've won that lane. Negasonic is a great way to win the Storm lane while also disrupting opponents. Gladiator is just keyword big while also destroying a card, disrupting opponents. Both of those make Fenris go in the deck. Ms. Marvel is a way to win the Storm lane after the fact. If you have for example, a Fenris Wolf and or I don't know, Daredevil or Fenris Wolf and a Storm in one lane, you can then just play Ms. Marvel mid, give that lane 5 power without having to do any extra commitment, which is really nice, especially if you think your opponent might have like a Negasonic or Juggernaut. War Machine is here to let you into that Legion lane. That would be the only real use. It also gets you into things like Sanctum Sanctorum and so on. Legion turns everything into Flooded, but Legion is just a really great scam card. Everyone's playing Legion right now. I got scammed twice by freaking squirrels and Legion. Tonight, Legion is all over the place and a pain in the ass, and Alioth stops your opponent from doing anything to counter you, but if you do run War Machine, it might as well just be infinite. So turn 1, Bob over Nightcrawler. Again, Nightcrawler won't be on the list. Fenris equals Daredevil over Jeff on turn 2. You're not going to snap on Daredevil. You're going to snap on turn 5 Daredevil. Turn 3, Storm over Gladiator. If you do have the Storm combo, snap. If you think you can win a Storm lane, snap. Turn 4, War Machine over Quake over another 2 and another 2 for Storm. Over Marvel over Negasonic or Gladiator to win the Storm lane. Turn 5, Negasonic or Gladiator, especially with Daredevil, or you can plus Fenris, or you can just drop Legion. And then turn 6, Alioth or Ms. Marvel, and a 2, and then trigger Fenris. I don't know how good this list is going to be, but I have a hard time imagining that a version of this doesn't end up in the B tier. Right now, what's going to hold it back is that it's going to try to eat itself. This version, what I like about it, outside of that I'm an idiot and forgot War Machine, is that Quake lets you sort of counter the people that are trying to counter you and counter the people who are trying to do the same thing in really effective ways. Like it, yeah, should be super effective because it has Quake. Like if an opponent's trying to stop you with Nocturne, right? You can Quake one of your locations away, and then like to the Nocturne lane. And now what do? They can't move Nocturne to that same location, and they're stuck. And then you should be able to win the game of Snap. This is a very powerful list. It's Derek, the winner of the um, Golden Gauntlet tournament, and yeah, play it. Hey, if you want to check out some handcrafted jewelry, my wife has an online shop. It's on Instagram, the Crystal Bee 21 on Instagram, where she sells a bunch of handcrafted jewelry. If you have any interest at all buying something nice for yourself or for a loved one, please go check it out. She puts a lot of work and care into it. Next up, we've got Derek's Ongoing Pixie. This is another one that's just crushing right now. As of yesterday, the version that was going to be here was Tucker's Darkhawk version. That was in yesterday's video, but Darkhawk is less good. That version only runs Korg for Darkhawk, and Darkhawk was there to counter Thanos. Well, if there's no Thanos, then the Pixie version is better, because if there's no Thanos, then all of a sudden there's also less Mobius. This list is very strong and very, very consistent. You do need to see Gore or Iron Man, but if you do see Gore or Iron Man, you're good to go. You don't need to see Pixie. There's a lot of ways to get extra power out. So this is, again, another Derek list. I believe this is one he has played fairly recently, or someone is, because the stats on this are through the roof. This one needs Pixie, Gore, Esme, and Nico. Agent Venom and Surge can be Ravonna or Shadow King. Sage can be Wolfsbane or Cassandra Nova. All right. The hood is here. You're running Bast and Agent Venom, so you might as well run the hood. A 1-3 that gives you a 1-6. That's 2-9 in power. We love to see a 2-9 in power, so we run it. Anytime we're running that kind of combo for hood, we also want Pixie as an extra way to get rid of the hood, either by destroying it or turning it into a demon. Very simple plays here, yeah? Bast is incredible. Not only does it give +4 power to Gore, plus effective +6 to Iron Man or Mystique if Mystique copies Iron Man, the +3 to Sage is also fantastic. It works really, really well on basically everything. Agent Venom is the same concept, except obviously it hits the in-deck cards. Nico Minoru has the Destroy and Turn into Demon for Hood, Bast, and Pixie, all of which are absolutely great. You'll also happily do that to Agent Venom. But the other thing Nico offers you is a copy spell. Sometimes you hit a really great card on Esme, or you're able to use Sage early, and getting that as a copy with Nico is insanely strong. Pixie plus Mobius gives you a snap condition, as you're fairly likely to get a cheap Iron Man or Gore, but it's also just a way to throw off your opponent. They cannot know what you have. You don't run a lot of very expensive things, so you should be good to go. Surge is almost backup Pixie here. Having an Iron Man on 4, a Gore on 5 is very strong stuff. Being able to fit extra cards in along the curve is really nice here too as well. We talked about Agent Venom. Mystique is here to copy Iron Man and Gore. That should seem fairly obvious, right? You copy Iron Man, you copy Gore, you have enough power to win the game. Sage is keyword big. Even if you get like Esme Sage, a Sage that starts with 4 is incredible. Copying it is incredible. Playing it at the end of the game with Mystique or earlier as a power play is really nice. Mobius with Pixie is very, very strong. Esme is meant to hit Iron Man or Gore. A 3-4 Iron Man or Gore is absurdly strong, but if you hit a 3-4 Mystique or Sage, you're not super sad. Hell, a 3-4 Demon is not bad at all either. So there's numerous really good Esme targets, and you're not required to play the card. And then, of course, Iron Man and Gore are just your really, really big power cards that you're trying to get cheap through Surge, through Esme, or through Pixie. So with less Mobius around, this one is really, really good. Bast if you have 2 good targets, over Nico if draw 2, or Demon and a good target. Turn 2 Pixie, and once you play Pixie, goodbye to this turn by turn. Over Surge, which is equal to Anti-Venom, depends what you have. If all the good cards are in the deck, and you want to play something early, you don't have much to do, you might want to Surge. Agent Venom if you're trying to draw some powerful stuff as well. Like, you're just going to have to read the board, unfortunately. Turn 3 Mobius, who is a snap condition if you play Pixie, over Esme, over 2+1. Turn 4 Iron Man or Gore if you can, Esme card, or 2+2. If you played Pixie, you can play Surge and Anti-Venom. If you played Anti-Venom, you can play Agent Venom, you can play Surge and Pixie, etc. Turn 5 Iron Man or Gore. If you can get them out earlier, generally snapping. Mystique and Sage or Gore on turn 6, and you win. This is the last of our top 10 lists, I believe, but we got to talk about weekend mission decks still. Our first of which is Esme Cuckoo. So Esme Cuckoo is the season pass card. This one will change up next week when we switch to Merlin, but the Esme Cuckoo deck I want to talk about. And yes, we've seen Esme Cuckoo in a couple decks. She is finding homes, right? Like we just saw her in a deck moments ago. She is not a bad card. She is finding homes. I've even seen her start to be played in some Sarah Surfer stuff. She's unrevealed, copy a card from your deck into your hands that is cost a 3 and power to 4. I think you're going to want her. I think not getting her is going to prove a long-term regret for a lot of players. Anytime Mobius isn't in the meta, this is going to be a powerful card. Right now, it's seeing a ridiculous amount of play in Cerebro 4. This is Dexter Cerebro 4. I changed one card, Makari, because Makari is no longer a 4, for Cloak, because Cloak gives us an extra 2-drop to play. This list puts up a ton of points. Cerebro giving everything +3 is completely crazy, and you should be playing this list, or at least trying this list. 1 million people are trying this list. You're going to see that, or hopefully you've noticed that Clog and Negative, like magic lists, aren't really showing up here. And that's because so many people are playing Cerebro 2, 3, and 4, where Cerebro 2 runs Storm, Cerebro 3 runs Scarlet Witch, and Cerebro 4 runs Nocturne, that it's very hard to be a magic deck all of a sudden. So this one is from Dexter, twitch.tv/Dexter. This deck needs Ravona, Prodigy, and Esme. Prodigy's amazing. Hydra Bob can be Hawkeye, Hope can be Crystal, and Nocturne can be Luke. So Hydra Bob is a 1/4 that can play as a 1/10 if you double Cerebro, which is pretty damn nice. Cerebro is a 3/0 that gives +3. It's generally going to be representing like, I don't know. Let's say let's count it up, right? Let's say we play a bunch of what cards we play. So Ravona makes your Cerebro, Mystique, and Iron Man cheaper, thus it is in the list. Being able to combo off Cerebro, Mystique on turn 2, or Cerebro, Mystique, and a 4 on another card on turn 6 is great. Being able to Iron Man and Cerebro, Iron Man, Mystique is really great, etc. Cloak is so Cloak I just kind of like here. Not only is it just really big because of Cerebro, right? But Cloak also and like fits in that curve on the last turn if I get the Ravona. I can play it and move around cards like Claw and Iron Man and really mess with opponents in ways I like. So I am a fan of Cloak here. Spider-Man is very disruptive while also having a bunch of power. Mystique is here largely to copy Cerebro, but don't be afraid to copy Claw or Iron Man either. Both are very, very powerful plays. Esme Cuckoo gives you a potential cheaper card, but also if you get a 3/4 Cerebro, a 3/4 Mystique, a 3/4 Iron Man, you're pretty damn freaking happy. Hope gives you extra energy. There are games where last turn you go Cerebro, Mystique, and Prodigy for +15 power to your board. Seems like it's a lot. Hope gives you extra energy to do shenanigans, basically. Nocturne is location control while also obviously just being big. Prodigy is the same concept as Mystique. You can copy most of the same cards. You want to copy Cerebro, but don't be afraid to copy Iron Man, Claw. You can copy Ravona. A 3/4 Ravona extra is not bad. Being able to copy a Hope or Nocturne can be very powerful as well. Iron Man and Claw give you extra power. Claw gives you some reach, and Iron Man lets you go over the top of everything, although at this point, so does frickin' Cerebro. Turn 1 Bob, turn 2 Ravona over Cloak over Bob. Turn 3 Hope or Esme, Nocturne or a Cerebro. Turn 4 Iron Man is better than Bro and Mystique, or you can go 2/2. Turn 5 Iron Man or Claw. Turn 6 Bro, Mystique, and Prodigy. So let's say we play Bob, we play Cloak, we play Hope, we play, I don't know, Spidey, and then Cerebro, right? Then we're going to play Claw, and we're going to play Prodigy on Cerebro. And then we can play one other card, right? One other extra card in there. We sneak an extra card in there. Let's just say 6. We've got 30 extra power from Cerebro. Yeah, this list is a lot of power, and I think it's if it weren't fragile to things like Affliction, I think that this would be one of the best decks in the game. I think it still might be. It's in the B tier, so I think that it has a chance to rise higher. This is legit and scary. Zorn is the new card. It's a 2/3. This is your weekend review for Zorn. After any 3 or 4 cards is played here, move it to another location. I think Zorn is a fine card. We again saw him earlier this video showing up in a Scream deck. He's also really good with Red Wing, but outside of those 2 homes, he's not great. If you want to play those lists, feel free to grab Zorn. If not, I think he's a fairly easy skip. We're going to talk about the Toxic Soul Thursday list. This is one of my favorite lists ever in Marvel Snap, one of the most successful lists I've ever played. It does not need Zorn. It's fine with Cloak and Craven for Zorn and Surge, making it a little bit cheaper, but it is a very powerful list, even if it lost 1 whole power from Makari. You can find Toxic Soul King at twitch.tv/Toxic Soul King, but the originator of this list was Thursday Snap on Blue Sky. Madam Web and Red Wing are your required cards. Aranya can be Iron Fist, a big lost. Red Hulk can be Magneto, a big lost. Zorn and Surge can be Craven and Cloak, that's fine. Makari can be Wasp, that's fine. Aranya, Ghost Spider, Zorn, and Madam Web are your move cards. Their goal is to move Red Wing once and Vulture multiple times. You can often end up with like a 20-something power Vulture through the extra moves, while Red Wing can play for 5 and then get you like a basically a 10 to 20 power card out in result. That's amazing. That's potentially 25 power from that play, and then the Vulture is like another 20-ish power play. Huge, huge power from those 2 cards. Surge gives you the ability to, when you don't see all of your combos, play a 6/5. Getting a Gigant or a Red Hulk out on turn 5 is great. Titan is a common location too. So if you Surge and you get a Infinite that costs 4, feel free to skip turn 3 and drop a 20 on 4, and that's usually worth it. Zorn is a free move. What Zorn has over Cloak is that you can drop Zorn and immediately drop Red Wing and get the move without any setup needed. What Cloak has on Zorn is you can play with Craven, and then you can get yourself an extra like 10 to 12 power card from Craven. So there's upsides and downsides for both. Vulture here is just huge. Again, major points. Makari dumps herself out of your hand, which is very good for Red Wing. Dracula is here for Infinite. Red Wing or Dracula should get Infinite, but you often end up with just big cards in hand and getting a bunch of smaller cards to scale. Red Hulk in this meta, people are skipping energy left and right, is very often huge. Giganto is the other biggest 6 outside of just Infinite, and thus this list is gigantic. So turn 1 Aranya, turn 2 Madame Web if Vulture, Surge or Zorn are fine. Turn 4 move Vulture, Red Wing to set up a move move if you have odds to play. If you have 2 6s and 1 not 6, I will happily move Red Wing on turn 3 and just go to town. Turn 4 Dracula or 3 plus Ghost Spider. Turn 5 Zorn and Red Wing or drop cards on Web. Sometimes you can do a 6 for 5. Then turn 6 move Red Wing and empty your hand for Dracula. This one's a monster. This list is genuinely great, and I cannot urge you to play it enough. Unless Scream is all over the place, and even kind of if Scream is all over the place, this one is phenomenal. Play it, win with it. I know I have been. It's, again, one of my most successful lists ever. Question of the day for this video is always the same thing. It is always the honorable mentions. So right before Storm was changed, Sizer had a move lockdown that he was rank 1 with that ran Storm 3-2 into War Machine and Legion just as an extra play. As a top end, instead of a Heimdall or Eliath at that point, he decided to run Infinite just because you could do all your move stuff, get enough power out, protect it with Cosmo, and then the last turn of the game drop a Infinite, and that is an incredibly powerful way to win games of Marvel Snap. I don't know how good this list is. This is almost completely untested right now, but if it is good, it is going to be absolutely great. So I wanted to keep it in the honorable mention. This could end up being an S tier in a week. Next up, we have the Danish Hela. Danish has started streaming, by the way. The E is a 3 and the I is a 1. So go check out Danish streaming. But Danish's Hela remains a really powerful list. It's all over the place right now. I saw a lot of people playing it. Just puts up crazy points. It is still almost a ramp list more than a Hela list, but that it can do both is just crazy, crazy strong. Plus, Gambit is a total jerk and hits everything Danish wants. From there, we have the Monstrosity. This is the Stefan, well, the alteration made by Heart of the Card Snap of Stefan's Arisham Thanos list. This, again, has incredible stats. This one does not give a flying fig about, I said flying fig because I don't want to curse, sorry, about losing the extra draw on Time Stone. Yeah, it's not ideal, but it's got 30 cards. It's not super likely to see Time Stone anyway. And you can play Thanos on 5 anyway, right? So this one is just all the points with all the variants right now. I don't know why, but everyone who plays this list keeps winning with it, so it's definitely worth checking out. I don't even know what else to say. Go play this list, win a bunch of games. And then down to the B tier, because why do I keep featuring this version that I have Mercury in for no reason? Mercury, we don't even know when it's coming out. Mercury should be Shadow King or Daredevil in this list, excuse me. But Devinter's Clog is really, really strong. The big problem here is that there's 18 ways to answer magic right now, and those 18 ways to answer magic are a problem. And in a week, Merlin, or less than a week now, Merlin is going to come out and give an answer to not only magic, but an answer to Clog in one card, which seems like it's pretty bad for the Clog. But if you want to play it right now and see if you can clog people before they can stop your limbo, go for it. Same problem with negative. There's not a lot of Mobius, so you should have some reasonable chances with negative, even if you don't get it. But you're going to get magic rug pulled a lot right now. And dealing with magic rug pulls is a problem. It used to just be Thanos, and you know if you weren't playing Thanos, you were unlikely to get your magic rug pull. But right now, there's just too many answers to this for me. But I do think that because this is the best points list, it's still a B tier list. That's it for today. Search your support on our Patreon. Come with on-air thanks. I'm going to go quickly because this video is insanely long. Thank you to Bricks to Click, our patron of the month. Abigail Giesland. Oh, I'm using an older version. So, Yo Marco, thank you. Manator Burnout, Irregardless, LAB, Inc., I'm Frostman, Hota Navidete, Thinking Poker, Primed Ryan, Ryan Burke, Ryan Wood, Ren Wrench, Kirtix Lee, Koirei, Kazushi, Archangel 3K, Black Dahlia, Perafrost, The Goat Seeker, Code, Hollowed, Only Fox, Synth, Fat Nick, Absolute Shannon, Nightmare, Dirty Casual, Mr. Kerfuffle, Cables, Ginger Prime, Philip Rakovich, Haplo, Kenny Loggins of the Danger Zone, The Bizza, Black Jeebus 23, Extra Sweet, and Skippy G, Jessica Gamble, Mr. Slush Death, The King of Bros, The Great Kazoo, Werewolf, Kefsi Hoda, Ludacris, Glam, Colonel Forbin, Rob Subman, M. Holland, David G. Wingfield, Stephen, Brian Kaufman, Tristan H. Martin, Jason B., Mr. Craig Starry, Matt V., Corey, Corwin, John Q, and Jim McHugh. His Stout, Ace Age, One Big Man, Bookman for Reels, Cactus Jack, Reapster, PG, Quid Pro Joe, Snap to Scissors Joe, Dick Carlo, Miles Monster Supreme, Pickety Boom Bot, Green Goblin, Unibot, Flan 56, The Fuzzy Law, Spectrum X, Hoot, Ocularis, Matt H, DJ Mike Hijinks, No Freaking Flex, Nick the Greek Geek, Toxic Soul King, Zodrex, The King of Canada, The Met Falcon, Fowler Newman, Jonesy, Two Ties, The Great Lordes, The Pirate King Tucker, and of course Gunny T, where the T stands for hopefully these decks help you climb some ranks. And I will see you on literally tomorrow for more videos because that's how we do things here on Snap Judgments. Much love. Appreciate the support. Peace.